Megan, are you sure we're supposed to be here?
Why not? Let's just go and have some fun.
I don't know about this. I mean, the sign says it's full.
I know, but think about all the fun we can have in there. And you can't get in too much trouble if Dave Thorne's not around.
You make a good point. At least we didn't leave the elevator this time.
Facts. Very true.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jamie Spencer, Chair of the Board of Directors for Special Olympics Minnesota. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our first ever Virtual Champions Together event. First off, I want to say thank you for joining us on this journey of celebration and inclusion. Tonight, we will celebrate how far we've come as an organization and discuss our critical needs during this difficult time. In this short program, you will hear from Special Olympics Minnesota Unified Pair Patrick and Megan Moffitt, Chief Meteorologist for Fox 9, Ian Leonard, and President and CEO Special Olympics Minnesota, Dave Dorn. To kick things off, please join me in welcoming CEO of Special Olympics International, Mary Davis. But before we do that, Mary, make sure you're not on mute and you have the appropriate Zoom background.
Good evening and welcome everyone. I'm Mary Davis, the CEO of Special Olympics International, and I've the great honour and privilege to join all of you this evening for Champions Together, a virtual celebration benefiting Special Olympics Minnesota. Oops, I see my background is very celebratory. Hang on a second, let me just change that over to what I regularly use. I'm based in Ireland actually, so I will be showing you a different background right now. Okay, there you go. There's my Special Olympics background, especially for this Champions Together celebration. We all know that the event would typically be held in person during the annual Special Olympics Minnesota Summer Games at the University of St. Thomas. But of course, due to COVID-19, things look a little bit different this year. During the outbreak of COVID-19, many of us have felt such a sense of isolation and loneliness and separation from our friends and families as we take measures to stay at home and stay healthy and safe. But unfortunately, these feelings are all too familiar for our athletes. Throughout history, our athletes have battled the obstacles of isolation, discrimination, and exclusion. And now, people with intellectual disability are one of the populations that are most vulnerable during this time of COVID-19 and are facing even more isolation than usual, and certainly than any of us. Improving the health and lives of people with intellectual disability has, for a long time, being the mission of Special Olympics Minnesota. Today, that mission is more important and more relevant than ever before. And I want to say that the team at Special Olympics Minnesota, led by Dave Dorn, are doing a phenomenal job. They're repurposing many of their programming at the moment to provide so much online training and opportunities for our athletes and coaches. I really want to commend and congratulate them for the tremendous job that they're doing. Tonight, you will learn about how Special Olympics Minnesota is living out its mission. You'll hear stories from the current athletes, and you will learn why your support is more important now than ever before to Special Olympics Minnesota. So now it's time to get started. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. And thank you so much for your continued support for the program in Minnesota. Enjoy yourselves.
Well, what a night we are going to have. I'm really excited to be here with you in one of my favorite places, the Special Olympics Minnesota offices. And since no one is here, at least I don't think anyone is here, my name is Patrick Moffitt, a Special Olympics Minnesota athlete. And a lot of people don't know this, but I entered here and this was my desk. I remember when I first met Dave Thorne in summer 2018 at Alps University, and I told him I was going to take a job one day. Special Olympics has been a part of my life for 3 years now, and it is my honor to co-host and MC this evening with my sister and unified partner Megan,
Hi, everyone.
and my good buddy Ian Leonard, Fox 9 chief meteorologist. And since this is a Champions Together event, I think we should be calling attention to our champions joining us tonight. The Special Olympics Minnesota staff, board of directors, volunteers, coaches, and of course, our Special Olympics Minnesota athletes. And all of you who are champions for the Special Olympics movement. And now I will turn things over to Ian Leonard, who is practicing amazing social distancing way across town.
Hi everyone, I'm Fox 9 Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard, and of course, I don't even think we need this. We are socially distanced aplenty. I am so proud to be here and be with you, a part of a very special evening for Special Olympics Minnesota, and to be with my friend Patrick and his sister Megan. You know, when you think about it, I've been working with the athletes of Special Olympics Minnesota since 2006, and before that, I was working with the athletes of Special Olympics Canada since the mid-90s. So I know you're doing, let's do the math together, times 3, carry the 4. It's been a long time. It has been some of the best years of my life. Some of the best memories of my life have been with athletes of Special Olympics. And tonight is a very, very special night as we gather to celebrate the athletes and the movement of Special Olympics Minnesota. Every time we gather, whether it's for a competition or a social gathering, whether it's for the polar plunge or before we play golf at the Ian Leonard Bad Pants Open, every single time we gather, we say the athlete's oath. So please join me in welcoming some athletes from Special Olympics Minnesota as they lead us in our athlete's oath tonight.
Let me win.
Let me win. But if I cannot win,
But if I cannot win,
Let me be brave in the attempt.
Let me be brave in the attempt.
Yes. Come on, Patrick. Come on, Megan. Let's give it up. The athletes of Special Olympics Minnesota leading us in tonight's Athlete's Oath. And if you think about it, if you woke up every morning and you had your coffee or whatever you drink in the morning, I need my coffee, and you said to yourself, let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Think about how great your day would be if you launched into every single day like that. Maybe give it a try tomorrow morning when you wake up. But for now, welcome to our first virtual fundraising event.
All right. Yeah.
Whew. Man, is that not the coolest?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Totally cool. I'm having so much fun here, man. This evening, we are joined by many family, friends, coworkers, and our very special guests, the Special Olympics Minnesota champion athletes. I know you all are very familiar with our next speaker. He has a true passion for Special Olympics Minnesota, and how fortunate are we all that he brings that passion to work with him every day for an organization he truly loves. I give to you President and CEO of Special Olympics Minnesota, Mr. Dave Dard!
David's here in the office.
Oh, wow, that must be my cue. How did they get in the office? That Patrick, he's been gunning for my job since the day I met him. It's great to see him here, though, and it's great to see so many of you here tonight. You know, in past every summer games, we've been able to have a champions luncheon and see, many hundreds of you come together, and it's been fabulous in person because you get to see our athletes. We get to have our athletes at your tables, and unfortunately, it just doesn't allow us to do that today. The fact that we can do this virtually means that we can reach across the entire state and get more people here than we ever have before. By you being here speaks to the dedication and true commitment of the support that so many of you have for our organization, and most importantly, for our athletes. Nothing is better than watching those unified partnerships and friendships grow with our athletes across the state. These aren't just the high fives on the court or on the playing field, and when the game's over, we're done. These are real friendships that mean dinners out together, taking a walk, catching a movie, or being confidants for one another. We've seen real change in the past years, and as a father of a Special Olympics athlete, it gives me real hope. It gives me hope for my daughter, Rosie, that her future and for her ability to be seen not as just a person with an intellectual disability, but as fun-loving, charismatic young woman that I know and love. A young woman that has so much to offer to the world around her. Unfortunately, for all of our athletes, these friendships that come together for sports, for practices, for training, health, and yes, dinners, movies, and the walks have all come to a screeching halt when COVID-19 hit. There is an isolation that has occurred with our athletes and people with intellectual disabilities that is not spoken about. It is an isolation that if you think back 50 years ago when people with intellectual disabilities were institutionalized, well, we've come a long way since then. But today's situation with COVID-19 gives an eerie feeling like we're back there again, because our athletes are stuck in their homes, in their group homes, in their apartments, or with their family, and they cannot get out and practice. Most importantly, can't get out and socialize with their friends and volunteers and coaches and all the things that they've been able to do with Special Olympics over the past years.
Most individuals with intellectual disabilities were stashed away somewhere.
They were put into institutions. People with intellectual disabilities were out of sight and out of mind. They were very isolated in the shadows.
And those of us who have seen children live in the shadow know that a country as rich as ours can't possibly justify this neglect.
In the early 1960s, Americans began to recognize the dire living conditions and lack of care and education for people with intellectual disabilities. Activists and politicians began to speak out. And slowly, things began to change.
This has really been a field which has been relatively ignored. Now we hope to put a greater light on it in this country, in other countries around the world.
In Minnesota, legislation was passed to start addressing the needs of those who had previously had no voice.
When the state institutions closed and individuals moved out into the community, some came back and lived with their parents.
Many people went through life with very few experiences with people with developmental disabilities.
That presented the situation. How are we going to educate? How are we going to assimilate these individuals into the community?
My class was the first class in the high school at Red Wing. And when we got in there, we found out that not only the students were afraid of my students, but the staff was as well.
Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Even though we are in a time that is so much more difficult for everybody than we were a year ago, we can still celebrate our athletes and the accomplishments we've seen not only in the past 50 years, but just even in the recent year. And the highlights that we see in not only on the field, but off the field, in the community, and even in the workforce. We have great athletes here in the state of Minnesota that really showcase to all that we are so much more alike than we are different, and we are so much able than we are disabled. If you come out to one of our competitions, you can see these athletes who have been training for months, and they are competing. And this is not a competition where it is a cute competition. Oh, this is a nice competition. Our athletes are badass. They are working their tails off to train weeks and weeks and to compete against athletes of similar abilities and to really fight to take home that gold medal. We see tears of joy. We also see tears of frustration, just like any other competitive sport. And that is the key message for us, that our athletes are just like everybody else. They want to compete, they want to win, and they want to be a teammate. And that is what they are missing right now. As we're here to celebrate our athletes, one of the greatest things that we have is people that advocate for our athletes on air or off air. And one of those persons is Ian Leonard. And Ian was here earlier, and I haven't seen him in a little while, and he may have fallen asleep, or he's probably like on his phone or something.
Still here, just trying to connect with my social media followers, well, and with you. I've got over 100,000 social media followers, and those are the people that love to hear about the Polar Plunge and the Bad Pants Open and everything that happens with Special Olympics all year long. And I use that platform. But tonight we've got our own platform here where we can talk about the amazing champion athletes that make up Special Olympics Minnesota. And, you know, I always get the question, Ian, what's your connection? My connection to Special Olympics started years and years and years ago when I was about 12 years old. My best friend at the time, I'm still friends with him today. His name is Tom Pitts. And his mom, Shirley, God bless her, she asked Tom and some of our other friends if we could help look out for his brother. And his little brother, John, has Downs. And it just ended up that we wanted to take care of him and foster him and have him be a part of who we were. And, you know, that sort of thing that started all those years ago, that stuck with me. And when I first broke into television many, many years later, Mrs. Pitts called me and she said, would you help us with a fundraiser for Special Olympics? And this is really when everything about Special Olympics was in its infancy. And I said, yes, but I need to find out more. I need to go to a competition. I need to see the athletes in action. And I went and I took my wife, and I'll never forget, I think it was 1996. And there was laughing and there was crying and there was amazing competition. And I turned to my wife and I said, we have to be a part of this. We have to do more. And that's when it all started for me. And whether or not you've been to a competition, whether or not you know somebody in Special Olympics or Special Olympics Minnesota, a family, an athlete, an organization, I'm telling you, if you haven't been, or even if you have, you know what I'm talking about. It's that spirit of competition. It's the spirit of community that comes along with that competition. There's high fives and there's hugs and there's dancing and there's sunblock and there's sweating and there's everything that is athletics. But at the end of the day, it's about one step closer to making a better community. And every time we have a competition, the step goes up and the step goes up and the community gets bigger and the community gets stronger. And it is a community of amazing people, and it is a community of champion athletes. And that's what we're here to celebrate tonight. Champion athletes and all that is the community of Special Olympics Minnesota. Speaking of champion athletes, let's get things back to my friend Patrick.
I miss coming into the office every day and seeing our coworkers.
I agree. I miss that too.
That's always been the highlight of coming here to work.
Absolutely. I miss going to work. I miss seeing you guys, and I miss seeing all of our athletes. But you know what? I think in the meantime, Ian should work on his dance moves, don't you think?
Ian, do you want us to come show you how to bust a move?
No, I'm good, Patrick. Might have pulled something, but I'm good. I appreciate the offer. My dance moves aren't what they used to be, but my social media followers love it when I bust a move. Look, not really. You've met Megan and Patrick, but perhaps you don't know their story about how they became unified partners. It's an amazing story.
Let it go. Let it go.
Jenny was like just the light. You walk into the room and everyone's eyes just went straight to Jen.
She's the biggest heart of us all. She just had this unique ability to see right through a person's soul.
I always thought of her as that bridge between those who were disabled and those who weren't. Bringing people into the Special Olympics unified movement without trying.
She was one of triplets.
All of which had varying degrees of disabilities. The first was my sister Jennifer, and then my other two brothers, Danny and Patrick.
It was stressful those first couple years, just wondering what life was going to be like for her. But she went to more dances than anybody in this house. Every dance she had a date to.
She went to more dances than I did.
She did.
She really immersed herself in high school in every way. She took on every challenge.
She became involved in Special Olympics. The girl who couldn't walk suddenly was running races in track.
Jenny was just really unique and special. She helped plan the activities that we would do in our unified club, but she would also meet with administration and talk about ways of opening up inclusion within the school.
I love you too.
An advocate in all areas of her life.
Jenny kind of started to take me on the journey. We just wanted everything unified, building unified programs. We did theater for all groups. We kind of built a future that we both wanted to enjoy. I would say Patrick, going through high school and transition, he was a pretty low-key guy.
Chapter 6, The Old Forest.
He was more of an introvert. Jenny was an extrovert.
Kind of settled for the sidelines a lot.
And I just thought to myself, there's no way that I could do what she's doing.
I love you. I'll see you in a month. Jenny was like the center of my life. I wanted to take her in, and so I started getting a degree in computer science because I knew that I could always work remote and I could always do that from home. Yeah, you will. Okay, whatever. All right, say signing out. Say kisses. I was on my way to getting that degree. I wanted to find jobs that I could do remote, and then she passed away. Jenny's passing was really unexpected. Before she passed away, she just was acting strange. She wasn't speaking in full sentences. Something just wasn't right. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. When she passed away, it just felt silent in the house.
It felt empty. Like a part of the house was missing.
I think we all felt a little lost, and we weren't really sure what to do. I had talked to the state office and asked if it was possible if Patrick could take Jenny's spot if he was interested, continuing forward everything that Jenny had been working towards.
And honestly, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really like going outside my comfort zone, but I knew that it was the right thing to do with Jenny.
It gave him purpose, gave him meaning. So that's kind of when we started to bond together.
There have been times when I've said to myself, I can't do this. I feel like I have to worry.
No, I don't think you do.
Megan is always there to back me up, and she believes that I can do it.
Jenny was somebody that pulled me in and tried to get me to do more. And so I had to almost take a little piece from Jenny and say, no, you are capable. You have nothing to be afraid of. I'm right behind you. He's somebody that's now really transformed. He took a class on speech presentations, and through that, he became what is called at Special Olympics Minnesota a global messenger. He would have never gone in front of a crowd and ever spoken. Now he's giving speeches to spread the Special Olympics movement and spread their values. And I think that transformation is beautiful.
I'm grateful for the gift of Special Olympics. It's a family, and it just gives me great joy. I'm helping a lot of people out there who don't have a voice.
They have turned grief into such great things and really just kept Jenny's spirit alive. Jenny would be beyond proud.
She's at the center of my world still, even though she's not here with me. She's still at the center. I'm thankful for all that Jenny has done during her 20 years here. I'm thankful for the path that I'm on. And I'm really proud of Patrick.
I'm still figuring out who I am, but I think eventually one day I will understand what kind of person I truly want to be. Just don't be afraid of the future. Go out into the unknown and try. We hope you've been inspired by what you've heard tonight. We'd like to thank all of you for your part in giving individuals with disabilities a chance to see our true potential.
This is a night. It's a night for celebration. It's a night for taking a spotlight and doing what we usually don't do, turning that spotlight and putting it on ourselves. The organization, the athletes, the movement that is Special Olympics Minnesota. Over 8,000 registered athletes competing all over the state all year long in a myriad of competitions. And I mentioned earlier, every competition goes one step higher to making our community that much stronger. As I go through my life, I realize that in 20, 30, 40 years, there's not going to be a sign on the side of the road that said, you know, Ian Leonard used to live here. But I think together, the legacy that is created today on behalf of Special Olympics Minnesota, the athletes who are now a part of Special Olympics Minnesota, and the athletes who will someday be a part of Special Olympics Minnesota and this movement, this community, that's the legacy that I think we're all working toward. That someday, the world doesn't look different when we look around. Someday, the world looks exactly the same. A man you're going to hear from next is truly incredible. I met him probably 11 years ago, and he's on the board of directors for Special Olympics Minnesota. His name is Mr. Adam Jerpe, and the first time I heard him speak, I cried. I haven't even heard him speak tonight, and I'm already going. So without further ado, a man I am very proud to call my friend, Mr. Adam Jerpe.
Thank you, Ian, Megan, and Patrick. You guys are having way too much fun. My name is Adam Jerpe, and as Ian mentioned, I am privileged to serve on Special Olympics Minnesota's Board of Directors. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Let's give another round of applause to all of the champions with us here today. Tonight, you have heard about the impact of COVID-19 has had on SOMN and the more than 8,000 athletes. In fact, I have a son in the program, Steven. Steven, come on in. Steven is an athlete who participates in bowling, track and field, swimming, and now general fitness. Our journey with Special Olympics began 14 years ago as a small group gathered to start a new delegation and bring Special Olympics to our town. Today, we're a thriving group of over 75 athletes competing in various sports year-round. It's been so rewarding to see these athletes practice, compete, and learn the fundamentals of teamwork. We've developed great friendships, and Steven keeps in contact with his best friend and fellow athlete via daily Zoom calls. In addition to being an athlete, Steven and our whole family are avid polar bear plungers to support Special Olympics. Steven himself has done it 10 years in a row.
Yes.
And brings a large team to the plunge to jump and cheer. He's quite the salesman when it comes to getting people into frozen water for a good cause. It's our way of showing how much we appreciate the support he and over 8,000 of his fellow athletes receive from Special Olympics. Participating and giving back are a big part of his life and how he works hard every day to be a contributing member of society and reach his full potential. Steven, do you have a message for him?
Yes. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for the purpose of thank you for supporting me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Stephen.
Welcome.
I am here tonight to ask you to consider a financial investment in the ongoing and important work of Special Olympics Minnesota. We hope you've been inspired by what you've learned tonight. You may have come here because a friend invited you or because you already are familiar with Special Olympics Minnesota. And it is my privilege to ask you to make a financial contribution to ensure our athletes have access to the programs they need and deserve. As you have heard, COVID-19 has affected the athletes with isolation every day. All sporting and health events have been modified to meet state guidelines for COVID. Our staff has designed engaging online virtual programs to improve our athletes' health and fitness, as well as programs to address their feelings of isolation and loneliness while being home. Now, more than ever, we need your support. We would like to ask you for what we really need most: financial support for the long-term growth of our programs and the ability to offer more opportunities to people with intellectual disabilities as we return to play in 2021. Now, there are several ways you can make a donation this evening. If you've been inspired by what you've seen tonight, if you've been touched by our mission, we ask you to consider making a donation tonight, because now, more than ever, any donation will make a difference and create lasting impact. If you're able, we would encourage you to consider a multi-year commitment by becoming a member of the Olympus Society. To make that commitment, please select the line that says, "I want to pay in a different way," and type in multi-year gift in the text box provided. We need your help today to make a difference for our children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Give them a chance to show themselves, their peers, and their communities their true potential as champions. We hope you will join us and our athletes in our enthusiasm for these vital programs. By joining us in donating, you are ensuring our vision and these universal values continue to shape the lives of children and adults with intellectual disabilities. You're providing for a better future for these athletes and ultimately a better Minnesota for all. There are several levels to consider giving, and any amount is impactful. We know that some of you are part of a company or a foundation, or you may be in a position to consider giving at a deeper level through planned giving or corporate matching. We have various levels from $2,500 to $10,000, and imagine the type of impact this gift could have. Again, if you would like to make a multi-year commitment of any amount, please select the line that says, "I want to pay in a different way," and type in multi-year gift in the text box provided. Now, we'd like to ask those of you who have not made a commitment to please consider a donation by clicking on the donation button. Every contribution made this evening will make an impact, especially as we return to play. Whatever you can give, whether it's your time and talent or your financial support, you make a difference in thousands of lives, and we truly appreciate your help. Thank you all for investing in our vision, these athletes, and in Minnesota. And thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that you have been touched by the mission of Special Olympics Minnesota and what we've accomplished since 1973. And what we want to achieve in the future. Thank you for being champions together.
Thanks everyone for joining us here tonight. Our athletes need your support now more than ever. If you can take anything away, spread the word that Special Olympics is in your community. It's for everyone. And we want you to get involved any way, shape, or form that you can. So as we close, a virtual hug's kind of weird. How about a high five? High five, everybody.
High five.
High five!
High five.
High five, high five. That looks like I'm telling you to stop. Stop, no, high five. So stop is down, high five is up. Okay.